you been? What's going on? What's happening?
What is happening today? We are the podcast guys here for your entertainment.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast guys. I'm Loren. Don't drink, don't do drugs, don't gamble, don't smoke. So I cuss like a sailor to make up for it. And he's Keith.
I'm 37 and a half years old.
Yeah.
I've got to tone it down a little bit. You were a marriage and family therapist for 25 years.
Yes.
May I call you Dr. Lennon?
I don't have a PhD or a medical degree. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology with an emphasis in workplace counseling.
She's getting
why are you laughing?
Loren. Yeah, and Loren and I are podcast guys, okay? You're a doctor tonight.
Just got something from Amazon. What is it, honey? Okay.
Hi, honey. Hi to the Amazon driver.
Have you and George actually met, Keithy?
Yes. In fact, we met for lunch one time. He showed up briefly.
Come here.
I said something about disowned feelings, and he was in the car in like 4 seconds.
This is my George.
Hey, there he is.
There.
How did he get younger and more handsome?
I know. He really
Guy's
is.
amazing.
Yeah.
Does Loren know that we grew up together? Keithy?
Once you
No, I
tell
did
him,
not.
he will.
Okay. Well, I grew up in West Covina, and so did Keith. And to make his life even more miserable, we gave him the nickname Keithy Weethy Woo. So Keithy is the diminutive of that. And I met Keith when my name was still Becky. Let's see, about fifth grade, Keith? Fifth grade or?
That's why you're here. And after 6 decades, you could try to publicly humiliate me with the
Yes,
Keithy Weethy.
I've been waiting.
I'm not sensitive to stuff like that like I was then. I happen to have an appointment and I have to leave this right now when I'm done with this, but you guys have a good show.
He's such a baby. He always was.
Fine.
Oh, whoops, he's back.
I'm a baby.
So we knew
Me.
each other very early on, and then we went to middle school together and high school and music department, and we were just great friends. One time Keith called me when he had his radio show, and Harry Met Sally was popular. Remember that? You called me and interviewed me on the radio. The subject
Yeah. Talk about how that went. I remember it really well.
he wanted to
And
talk
you
about
are?
men and women can really be friends. And we told our radio audience that they can indeed, because Keith and I have been friends for so long.
We may inquire as to having the breasticle, the boobule, twin toe. Does it slow you down when you run? And some people got very interested in that and said, well, there's only one way to find out. Put fake ones on guys, run them, and time that.
So did they like strap them in with a sports bra and stuff and then make them run?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And that will be edited.
No, tell me they were braless and they were in t-shirts.
Yeah. And then they
And they were
sprayed
having
them
a
with
car
water.
wash.
Yeah.
Sprayed them with water.
Made them wash cars.
This was in the UK, and to determine if it's true or not, the UK sports bra retailer, you're going to like this, Loren. Booby-Doo put prosthetic breasts on male runners, which were designed to reflect the weight of the average bust size in the UK. Check this out, 36DD.
That's the
Which
average.
brings up
in the
one
UK?
question and only one question. Loren, why are we not in the UK?
Oh my God, Keith, you are still 12 years old.
Could that be the average? Isn't that large, though? 36
Yes.
D?
Yeah.
What are they?
Right. And
They
then you
must
got
be
to put the
including the
sports
queen.
bra on so they don't bounce when you run. That's the whole point.
No, I think
So
the
they
point
had,
is to
they
let
had-
them.
They had
No.
4 men wearing realistic prosthetic silicone breasts weighing 1 kilogram. They were then compared with 4 men on average around 12% slower.
Of course.
So a little
And
empathy
then they had them
for the
do-
ladies.
And then
What?
they had them do handstands and saw how long it took them to suffocate themselves.
Oh my God, you guys are 12.
That doesn't work. They put him in the front seat of the convertible and hit the highway.
Hey,
Anyway, the 4 men on the average ran 12% slower with their knocker lockers. Comments from the test subjects. The impact was pretty high. My lower back feels a little bit tender right now. And one said, mate, I got a stitch early on, a cramp. and didn't want to leave me. And one guy had weakness around his knees. But you know what they said, Loren and Lennon?
What did they say?
Loren, Lennon, and Landau. The number one thing that slowed up the male runners was stopping to fondle themselves.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't think it could get any better, but it did.
and see, that's the other thing. When I was a therapist and I would explain to women, only
Sorry.
get chronologically, emotionally, they only get to age about 14. And if they could just remember that, then they wouldn't have these other expectations like we were talking about.
It's not a joke.
Exactly.
It's true.
I
Because
know.
I experienced it. I've said forever that men tap out like emotionally, humor, what, 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then a guy could be running IBM, you know, jacket, tie, the whole thing. But after, and he goes into the bar to have a drink like that, we're saying the same stuff. We
Oh,
said
yeah.
we tapped out in 7th
Oh, yeah.
grade.
Absolutely.
And that's why Trump got in trouble on the Hollywood Access tape, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because you all talk like that. Uh-huh.
All of us.
Yeah, right.
All of it.
No.
With all of the social injustice, need for more social justice, groups that aren't being treated fairly, and people all have, you know, different points of view about that. One thing as white dude,
Mhm.
who I've always pretty much looked at people as people. I don't have to classify a lot beyond that, you know, gender, male, female, but I really don't care about the rest.
Mhm.
When you might be at work, whatever, you meet another guy, they don't really know you well, and they're really prejudiced, and they start talking like you are.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
is
I know what you mean.
really, it can be, if you try to be a nice person at all, right?
I
But
know.
boy, you can't be a pleaser. You got to say, you know, in no
Yeah.
uncertain terms. Or people that come up to you and start bagging on a religion, they have no idea
Yes.
what your religion
Yes.
might be.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
You're
yeah,
not only callous, you're kind of clueless.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Hey,
a
clueless
hard
and
one.
callous.
And
That's
they
our new
call
show,
that
Lauren.
silent witnessing when you don't speak up. You're silently witnessing and colluding. And it is hard. It's really hard. When I taught communication at Kaiser, and I would get to the part where gossip can disrupt a work team and really disintegrate relationships. And I would give the example that when someone comes to you with gossip, you're like, oh boy, tell me, because you feel so popular that they're sharing with you and you don't want to offend them. And so what do you say if we have a non-gossiping sort of agreement at work? How do you deflect that? And it's very tricky. Things like, well, you know, I'm not really comfortable talking about Susan when she's not here. Or, no, I really think that maybe we should give the benefit of the doubt. I mean, there's things you can say that won't completely offend the other person, but also doesn't take away your own integrity, you know, in situations like that. So I think it's the same. Yeah, another white person will come to me assuming we can talk about white things. About other races. Yeah, just like what you're saying. Oh, they all this or oh, they all that. Well, how do you say,
Well,
I don't,
and the bigger, I'm sorry to cut you, the bigger category there is gossip. That's
Yes,
all it is.
exactly.
It's talking
That's
and
what it
talking
is.
down about other people.
Right,
They
exactly.
aren't there to
So-
defend themselves.
Right, and so that's really hard, but you lose your own integrity and sense of yourself if you just let it go, I think.
You
But
know
I
what
struggle with
works
that.
every time? If you're at the place of being able to do it.
Hmm.
And so let's say Bill is the, you
Uh-huh.
know, white guy who's telling me the jokes, right? And Mike
Right.
is working over there and Mike is the black guy.
Mhm.
And you just say, hey, Mike, Bill's got a joke for you or whatever it is. He's right.
Yeah.
And you just, I'm going to the men's room.
Right.
And they will never come to you with that stuff again.
Well, what about, wait, are you back? What about the
That
guy?
was like Jackie Chan. That was very good.
What about the guy, I forget his name, who Trump was talking to in that trailer? That poor kid that ended up losing his job because he was laughing along with him. You know, that's another good example. You know, what do you say to
Well, we're
guys?
going an election back. I remember,
No.
the guy that was on. I felt very bad for that guy because he's in a
Yeah.
situation where
Right.
he doesn't want to call Trump on the carpet. He was
Right.
very
Billy
innocuous.
Bush.
I thought he tried to get out of that as quick as he could.
He lost
But these
his job for laughing.
We live in
They
the days of
fired
the
him.
easily offended.
Hmm.
Folks are easily offended. But I love the old one. Every time you're pointing your finger, you know, there's 3 pointing back at you. So
Yeah. Well, but you know, you could say the same thing about race. What the example you just gave, Keith, as you put about, you know, how you talk about women together. You know, it's kind of the same. Oh, look at that chick. What you call it? Yeah.
Got to
Yeah.
tell you this. This was one of the most eye-opening things for me to empathize with what women go through and probably don't think twice about it, was a gentleman that had a complete change, became a la Caitlyn Jenner, became a woman, and very convincingly so, like that. So anyway, the story she now tells was, as a man who flew a lot, and as a woman continues to fly a lot, a pretty common situation is you get on board and someone's in your seat. He said, as a man, it happened many times, and he would have the ticket, lean over to the gentleman sitting in the seat, and it was done. That, oh, God, did I? Oh, geez, where am I? Oh, okay, hey, dude, like that. Boom, move, right? As a female coming up, said men almost never want to move. Oh, honey, there's a lot of open seats over. Can't you just? And was telling very true stories about exactly what happens, how often you're put off as a woman, and he's experienced both sides. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it went that deep. It was that, I don't know if insidious is the word, but pervasive.
Well, you know what else, Keith? When you talk about how you're very open to people of all kinds, and so am I. I'm sure Loren is too. But you don't go out of your house and get judged by the color of your skin. I mean, like, that's the first thing that presents itself to the world. And as white people, we don't have that extra sort of blockade. You're not judged. You might be judged on being an asshole, but you're not judged.
Excuse me. To degrees lesser or greater, everybody's in their head judging it. Some people don't like bald people. I can't conceive of that. They are. And again, when I work with people in the public, I find, and I work with people of all different nationalities, and when they come in, the one prevailing thing they're thinking overall is he gonna be a jerk? Not, you know, his religion, his color, is this, is that. They just want to, you know, is it going to be cooperative? Is it going to be helpful?
Yes.
They came in for a reason, and that's what people's hope is. And if you aren't a jerk, most folks will give you a pass. Even if they don't like your kind, if you're nice, they'll give you a pass.
But there is this added piece of clothing that Black people experience that we never will. And that's something we have to, start talking about and figuring out and not deny. I mean, back in good old West.
But a man or a woman has to change within themselves. No amount of social pressure. I've known people that are horribly bigoted, and then just like with the election, you can present any amount of facts you want. People, you know, for the most part, are dug in because they've identified with their choice. You know, it becomes hooray for our side, and they take it very, very personal. If could be your sports team, could be your country, nationalism.
I get that.
And if you're identified.
And you're right. You can't do it with social pressure. You have to do it within yourself. But if you've never even thought about it, or you've never even said to yourself, what?
Loren,
how does that make you feel, Keith?
Oh, my God.
You did that last podcast, Loren. I'm going on about something, and I see you go, here it comes.
Was that the 5th time I've said it? I promise 5.
Do you guys have this much in your other programs to cut down and edit? Or are we
We've never had a guest this charming and talented. And you've been very good. By the way, everybody's cutting everybody off tonight, and you've been super patient. So thank you.
Well,
I think we need to have you on as a regular. That's what I think. So, Lennon, I got another joke for you, but Keith, you got to edit this out. You must not let this hit the air.
His jokes are good.
So, no, but this is a true story. My ex and I, one time we were having dinner, and I made a Freudian slip. I meant to say, honey, could you please pass the salt? But what came out was, you bitch, you've ruined my whole life.
Oh.
Well, Well, Lauren, have you ever been to a counselor or a therapist?
Not a, well, yeah, a marriage counselor.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.